All right, and we are live. Hello, I am Jerod, Evanich, president and co-founder of A Place at Home. And today we have a very special LinkedIn Live. We have Courtney Stillings with FBR, Franchise Business Review, with us here today. And it's really important when considering what franchise potential owners are going to go with. How satisfied are the current owners? How much culture is in that system? And so satisfaction is huge. It's a huge consideration for prospective owners. And, satisfied owners leads to more franchisees, more excitement, more engagement with the franchise system. But gauging that satisfaction can be difficult, let alone compiling all that information in an easily accessible way. But today, Courtney Stillings, who is the senior client consultant with Franchise Business Review, is going to discuss her company, how they gauge satisfaction and franchise culture, and how Franchise Business Review gets information to prospective candidates. So hello, Courtney, and thank you for being with me today.
Hi, Jerod. Well, thanks again so much for having me. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure working with y'all for the last, year or so, not even at this point. So I think I briefly mentioned that I've never been on LinkedIn Live. So I'm excited to start it here today.
All right.
So you saw it here first.
Yeah, hopefully the first of many. But
yeah.
I've had a chance to get to know you, but many people here listening today have not had a chance to get to know who you are and perhaps some of the background that you've had with FBR. So tell me a little bit about your role and perhaps some of your background with FBR.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my role is kind of amazing here at Franchise Business Review. I might be a little bit biased, but I am a senior client consultant. But what that means is that I actually get to partner with wonderful brands throughout the world now. So we are global, and brands that are looking to make sure that they're doing right by the franchisees and that they're growing in the right way. And they're doing everything in their power to make sure that the brand grows, but they have a pulse on operations and development. So I really take all departments within a brand and kind of fuse them together to make sure that they're growing in the right way. And really, we look at that as gathering actual insights, right, from their brand's main stakeholders, their franchisees. Okay. And so we use that actual data to really help with internal operations, to come up with an action plan, KPIs, but also use those insights to grow the brand and attract those quality candidates that might fit that community of the brand. And so a quick background of the company, right? So Eric Stites, my CEO, if he's listening, he's wonderful. But he started this company with Michelle Rowan 17 years ago. And so the last 17 years, we've been able to help over 1,100 different brands throughout every industry within the franchising world. So senior care, food and beverage, home services, you name it. And it's really looking at, like I said, gauging that franchisee satisfaction, one, to make sure you're growing the right way, that you are suitable for those quality candidates that you want to attract, and making sure that you're right by everyone involved, from corporate level down to the franchisees.
Wow, that's awesome. And I didn't realize how many companies that you work with. That's really impressive. And, obviously they're getting so much value out of the results that you continue to grow and bring on people like us who have been there for under a year, but still have instantly seen that value in those metrics, some of those key reports, some of the analytics that we have already been able to see. And even outside of that, you don't only provide that insight, but you also provide some awards, and you like to celebrate those achievements of franchisors. So we may talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But one thing that we talk a lot about at A Place at Home is the people's why and how that really relates to what business they're going to be in. And when we find a lot of like-minded people and bring them into a business that we often say it's like a franchise family, right? Because so many of our owners are like family to us. But when we bring them into the organization, we have strong values, right? We are built on our We Are Care philosophy, which is compassionate, accountable, respectful, and ethical. But you bring these like-minded people in with the same desire to help and to grow and to help their community. The end result oftentimes can be a culture, and a culture that is really built on a foundation of those things that I just mentioned. But it's really easy for companies to talk about culture. It's easy to throw that word out there like, hey, yeah, we have a culture, right? But, is culture, what kind of culture do you have? Is it positive? Is it negative? Like how do you even gauge, what kind of culture, if you even have one in a company? So one thing that I found was super interesting is the efforts that FBR puts into really trying to dig into that culture, engage it within your survey. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And I love the culture word. So here at FBR, we love culture. And I think it's so important to kind of backtrack to what you said, Jerod. You can say you have great culture, but what does that mean, right? You can walk the walk. Can you talk the talk? Can you back it up with what you're doing in your internal operations? And then, of course, you want to celebrate it. But what does that mean? So we also have, and we'll circle back to this, to our culture awards. But we think it's so important because we need to understand what's happening behind the scenes, right? Our day to day. It's not just saying we have great culture here and snapping your fingers and making it happen. So a great way to really gauge and measure the quality of a franchise company's culture is surveying your franchise owners with what we do, right? So we come in and we survey those franchise owners, and it's a great place to start to understand that culture piece. Because when given the opportunity, they're going to tell you how well the franchise leadership team is executing the vision and culture of a company, right? So if you ask me, how is the culture at FBR? Again, I don't have anyone standing over my shoulder making sure that this is accurate, but I'm going to say that I can live and breathe because my values link up with what the executive team is pushing forward. So to help understand how franchisees prioritize their company cultures, FBR, we come in and we actually asked over 30,000 franchisees, that's more than 300 brands this past year, a series of 12 specific questions in that survey. And that focuses on leadership, core values, honesty, integrity, and overall support, right? So we really hone in to get that understanding. And then after those results come in, we get to benchmark that. So we get to see all of those brands that we asked. There's a benchmark between all of those brands, but then also industry specific. So we can just look, okay, as a place at home, are they stacking up above the senior care benchmark? And then overall, all the other brands that we survey. And if they're not, how can we fix it, right? Are there certain we can hone in on to make sure that our culture is strong and that we're going the right direction. So that's why it's important to us to ask those questions, because you're not going to run into a franchisee that says, no comment. And if you do, you probably should dig a little deeper, right? Why is there no comment there? So FBR really hones in on that. And like you said, we'll go back to the award slide too, because we like to celebrate. We like to celebrate here at FBR.
Yeah, that's great. So 12 different questions, and that still is something that it kind of boggles my mind. Is like, well, how do you really pinpoint and dig that out of somebody to be able to gauge, culture? Any other insights on those 12 questions? Anything that maybe stands out, or anything that you feel is like, oh my gosh, this question is like totally representative of culture. Obviously, whether or not they answer the question or not, number one, it tells a lot in itself. But then in looking at these questions, anything that surfaces to the top?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one specific question that falls underneath our leadership section of the survey. And that main question is asking the franchisees from strongly agree down to strongly disagree. Please rate how the senior management encourages strong team culture, right? So is that team culture piece there? And so it's a 5-point scale that we ask. So for example, we asked that the franchisees of a place at home. So all of the franchisees that answered the survey on that question for a place at home hit agree or strongly agree. There was nothing below. So wow. For example, yeah, I was so excited about this because when I look at the benchmarking information, because like I said, I'm a data person, I love looking at that benchmarking information. It's great having that data, but if I don't know where I stack up, then how do I know I'm doing something right? So looking at that, a place at home, their overall score with that specific team culture question was sitting at a 96.2. Our overall benchmark throughout the whole industry, so all the other franchising brands, is at a 75.3. And just the senior care was at a 76. So A Place at Home outscored all of our benchmarks by 10 points. So that's amazing. It's not something we see every day, but that's a great gauge on how well you guys are doing over there at A Place at Home.
That's awesome. And it was really, kind of eye-opening to see that there's so many times in business, and Dustin and I, Dustin Stefano, CEO and co-founder as well, it's hard to know when you're so close with these people, like, are we doing the right things? Are they as bought in as we think and hope them to be? And oftentimes when you're talking to them one-on-one, of course they're bought in, but maybe behind closed doors, we did something that they didn't like, or perhaps the training wasn't as good as we had hoped it to be. And so in general, having a third party help to gauge your satisfaction is so important to me. Quick story. All right. So Dustin and I, we launched A Place at Home 10 years ago. This is our 10th year in business. So very cool. Our Omaha location, in-home senior care, right? Well, when we started it, we very much we were scheduling the calls. We were going and doing all of the marketing, every client interview, every client signing. Sometimes we'd even fill in for shifts, if need be. And so we got really close to our clients. And so our clients always would tell us, oh, you guys are doing a great job. We're just so happy with your services. And then, what they didn't tell us is that Joanne, who was just there 30 minutes ago, well, she didn't take her shoes off when she came inside, and she did not address them by the right name. And there was all these other things that we could have made better, but they didn't want to tell us, right? Because they liked us, right? But that didn't give us the true picture of satisfaction. And so we had, enlisted a third-party company within A Place at Home. We still use them today, Home Care Pulse, to be able to get that pulse on the business for our clients. And so it's very much similar here with using FBR services, right? Is that we have this closeness and this family-like relationship with our franchise owners. But again, sometimes they may not want to hurt our feelings, or they may not want to tell us that something was not as we had expected. And so getting kind of behind the curtains look and having that third party really does help. But getting that brand culture award was amazing, and definitely made us feel really good about what we've created here at A Place at Home. So kudos to those questions, right? Nice.
I love those questions. Well, kudos to you all too. I mean, a key metric, right? We really look at how they feel being in the organization, the franchisees, right? Do they feel valued? Would they recommend this company? Would they do it all over again? So those are big things when you're buying a franchise, right? You want to know that right off the bat, and you want that transparency. And so, yes, it was with great excitement that I got to get on a call with y'all and tell you that you were one of our award winners for top culture. So that's near and dear to my heart, especially with newer brands that, like I said, you just started surveying with us. And so sometimes it takes a while to rack up those awards. But for me to just have you guys jump in already and get your feet wet with this culture award means everything. That's why I do what I do.
Well, it sounds like we set a pretty high bar. So now the goal is just going to be to try to maintain that score, because it seems like it was off the charts. So that'll definitely be a goal of ours going forward, and look forward to seeing future insights to see how we can continue to keep that high bar set. But something you mentioned here a minute ago, Courtney, is that people who are looking to start a business, looking at franchises, they have a lot of options, and so often they want to get as much information as possible when making that decision. And so being here at A Place at Home on the development side, right? So on the side that awards territories, we often get to tell our prospects how great we are and how great A Place at Home is and how great our owners are. But then you think about, well, how do they validate? Do other people say how great we are? And of course, FBR and this culture and other scores really help to give some insights into how great we think we are from a third party without us having to tell them. But do you mind just getting a little bit further into how people can utilize FBR in that process of finding the right brand for them, and how maybe it can even provide some more kind of transparency and kind of a look behind those curtains.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that's how FBR was born, right? So Eric created this company to bring a sense of transparency. So if somebody was literally, putting their livelihood on the line, that's a lot of money to get into a franchise model. And so they're jumping into something. And so they want to make sure that everything aligns, right? Am I getting into with a company that really matches my values, that can succeed, that I will have great success and be happy? Or is that hidden, right? And so we here at FBR, we get rid of those barriers because we want the candidates to be able to find the right brand that fits them. But then also we work with the franchisors to make sure that they're attracting quality candidates, right? So you want somebody to come into your franchisee community that fits. But yeah, so the general importance of this to prospects is candidates want transparency. We all do, right? So if I'm going to get a new car, I need to make sure that this is the car for me. I don't want to drive off and it break down 2 minutes later. So when I'm deciding what brand I want to join, I'm going to do my research. And that's where FBR comes in. So we, like I said, help pair those franchisees with those franchisors by being transparent with those survey results. If the franchisor wants to share those survey results and give that to the candidate and using that in their calls and making sure that it's available so you can see this is a financial opportunity. This is what we're looking at for the future. This is how our leadership is ranked, our core values, and just looking at that, but then also that benchmarking piece. So now I can see a place at home next to other senior care services results. So, and also all the other brands out there that we survey. So, okay, now I have 2 senses of transparency. I can see a place at home, but now I can see where they stack up. So having that is so important to somebody coming in that wants to buy into a brand, right? So I want to know how they stack up. I want to make sure that I'm right on par. And looking at those results paired with the awards too. And some of our specific awards, right? Our top franchisees for veterans, for women, best culture. So if something was important to you, if I am a veteran or I'm a woman and I'm saying, I want to get into a brand that best fits me, we have those there for you to look at too. So it just helps those candidates pick the best one for you.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And honestly, I wish I would have, and I can't believe I didn't know more about FBR sooner. Right? We're at the IFA, International Franchise Association convention, and meeting Courtney for the first time and spending time at their booth and getting to know some of their team. And I'm thinking, where have I been? We've been with the IFA now for longer than we've been franchising. We got involved early to really get to know franchising, and just wish I would have known about your services sooner. So that's great, and also a great way for people looking to find that future business and franchise that's right for them on how they can really take a deep dive and find out so much more information than maybe just star ratings or perhaps what they'll see on any other kind of paid lead portal or other advertisements that may be out there.
Right.
So that's awesome. All right. So picture this, right? I'm looking for the next business, perhaps a franchise to launch. I'm a prospect. I'm on the track of business ownership. And I want to utilize FBR to help in this process. What do I do? How do I use FBR in this information? How do I access it? Right?
Yeah. Great question. And also, since you brought up expos too, I won't say that I bought you and Dustin coffee at the IFA the first time that I saw you. No, but we also, candidates come and find us at these shows. And I know a lot of them got sidelined because of COVID, but at these expo shows too, we have guides, and we have electronic guides now, but also in print, where a lot of candidates utilize that to start their research. So it has all the award-winning brands that we work with, where they can start and they can see the fees, financial opportunities, some of the survey results, the award winners, franchisee stories. So all of that's located there. And we actually were giving those out too at some of the expos this year. And that's where the candidates started their search before walking around to some of the booths. So that's a great start, is our electronic guides. And I know at the end of this too, we'll also put in a link on that as well with the page where you can go ahead and find some of these brands. And Jerod, if you don't mind, I was going to share my screen here real quick.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead and put it up, and we'll get it shared.
Okay, so share screen. So when a candidate comes to look for new brands, right? So for example, on our website, I think it's on there now. So on our candidate facing site, we have all of our awards listed. So again, you all are on our Franchise Culture Awards, right? But you're
Yes.
also in our program that you're able to have some of the reviews from your survey visible to some of these candidates that want to come in and learn more about the brand. So as a candidate, I can come directly to this site and actually get a summary of the survey that we're talking about right now. So those responses are on there. Your overall score, you have great marks right across the board, but you can also see that overview where we paint a picture, right? Your training and support, leadership, financial opportunity, your community. So you can download that report. You can get information about any of those brands that you want to see that we work with. That has all of that information readily available for you so that you're making an educated decision, that you know you're getting into the right brand that's correct for you. So that is directly there. Like I said, I know Jerod was going to share that too, with the link on this post as well. So anyone who is looking for a brand or want to learn any information about these brands, specifically A Place at Home, that's there for you to download immediately.
All right. I believe I just got that out.
Perfect.
And well, no, that's fantastic. And what a cool tool. And I saw you could download the full report, which I'm guessing is going to have all those insights. And Courtney, does that show us compared to like the industry or compared to franchising as a whole, or is it just about us?
It's just more about you. But
Okay.
once they download that too, that's where you can also engage with those candidates coming in so that you can have a meaningful conversation as well with those candidates and talk a little bit more about your benchmarking since you do have all of that data. So that is something very important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody out there would like to see how we stack up to the industry and to franchising, we do have a special report that we'd be happy to provide to you because we're pretty proud of the results, right? And we want to share that. So, no, that's fantastic, Courtney. Well, I'll tell you what, I learned a lot, and I swear every time I'm on the phone with you, I continue to learn more about FBR and some of the ways in which we can help to utilize all this data and this information and make our system better and strengthen our culture and make any kind of needed operational improvements that we could possibly make. And so I always appreciate getting that from you. I look forward to utilizing some of this information at our upcoming annual franchise convention. And Courtney's been kind enough to share with me some additional insights that's going to help me to provide to our owners and to show them where we're ranking and some areas in which we notice that we want to improve on. Even though it's really high, we can always get better, right? So we're going to continue to utilize those things. But Courtney, is there anything else that you wanted to add or end with here today?
Yeah, no, I think everything that you're doing right now is wonderful. And more brands, I think that do this is going to help the franchising industry more. But it's also big that once we get those survey results back, that we do something about it, right? So that we don't just take the results and we kind of power down or we just hold it close to our chest, but really being that transparent piece where that we share it back to the franchisees and that you grow together. And it's not just franchisor versus franchisee, right? That's not how you grow a brand anymore. And so being able to really have that as a team, and like you said, speaking about this at conferences, at town hall meetings, even if it's virtually here, getting the word out, we are good, but we want to be better. And how do we do that both in operations and then using that to grow and to get the right candidates on my team. So kudos again to everyone at A Place at Home. It was wonderful visiting there a couple of months ago. So I hope to come back to good old Omaha, but I'm sure I'll see you all soon.
No, very good. Well, hey, thanks again for spending some time with me this afternoon and providing those insights. Again, Courtney Stillings with Franchise Business Review. And with that, everyone, we will see you next week on LinkedIn Live. And y'all have a good rest of your Tuesday. Thanks.